When I was a younger man, I let my emotions kind of color my decision making a little too much, and I think that's what a lot of people tend to face. As you get older, you get a little more measured. I think you get a little more logical about the decisions you make, and I think a signifier of that is not letting the fact that you're disappointed or you're pissed off or you're angry about a certain situation color your decision making. When you're faced with a disappointment, don't react purely with your emotional mindset, if that's possible. Don't react quickly. Use the time. Take a breath, even if you are disappointed, because there are opportunities that will present themselves. No doubt about it. Like, don't just jump to a conclusion based on incomplete evidence. And if you're letting your emotions guide your decision making, your emotions are going to jump to all kinds of conclusions. You're going to get off balance and you might make a rash decision. Whereas if you can take the disappointment, you can just step back, you can look at the facts, not just how you're feeling about the situation, you're going to have a better time of it in the long run. I wouldn't be so quick to make a decision based on emotions. Don't have any snap judgments. You want to get away from snap judgments. Now, this might just be common sense to a lot of people that are listening to me right now, but it took me a long time to realize that. Probably about till I was 30 until it was like, okay, I need to be much more logical about every decision I make, because you don't realize how much those decisions are going to affect your life later on until you're living in that life later on. Then you can look back, hindsight's 2020, and you can be like, oh, yeah, that did have a huge effect, and I wish I would have done this instead of that. One of the things I really try to impress upon this channel is the idea of avoiding regret and acting in the ideal in the moment. Think about how you will feel about things 5, 10, 20 years down the road, because you know what to do. You know the right thing. But if you're letting your emotions tell you what to do, you are more likely to make the wrong decision. So don't let your disappointment turn into your defeat, because it's not a defeat. Life goes on. You're going to be faced with more challenges, but you're also going to be faced with more opportunity. So just keep that in mind. Don't make snap judgments. I understand it's very difficult, especially if you're in a difficult spot, to just want to give yourself over to emotion and just have that catharsis of just lashing out, be it quitting a job or breaking up with a partner. I can understand that, but you know there's going to be a hangover from that. You know there's going to be an issue that future you is going to have to deal with. And you have to keep that in mind. Same thing like what I was talking about earlier. You want to avoid regret where you can, and just think about what your future self will think of the decision you're making now. And if you step back and you don't turn disappointment into defeat, and you don't just act irrationally and act purely on emotion, if nothing else, you'll be able to look back and say, well, I made the most logical and rational decision I could at the time. And there is some solace in that. Sometimes you can do everything right and still, it'll still turn out bad. But if you acted in a way, if you responded in a way that made sense and was logical and was reasonable, it's easier to deal with the consequences of those actions if you know you gave it your best shot, rather than just, well, I fucked up. Well, where did the fuck up come from? Probably from acting, shooting from the hip emotionally. That's probably what happened. So, yeah, thanks so much for watching this video today. I just want you guys, maybe you can comment down below what are some examples in your life where you shot from the hip and it turned out bad or good, and what are some examples of when you actually stepped back and took a second, took a deep breath, and acted rationally and logically as opposed to just with your emotions. What is an example of where you stepped back and you were disappointed and you just sat in that disappointment, but you weren't defeated? You eventually overcame it. Thanks so much for watching Millennial Diligence. See you in the next one.